I've been getting a lot of I guess visuals on there is a lot of media coverage on these drones, huh? A lot of media coverage on these drones. Fox News here, Laura Faulkner, had some conversation with some congressmen. I think this who this person was, not this person here, but uh, the person she's going to be talking with later on in this video about why there were drones that were coming from the sea or from the ocean flying into New Jersey, and it was Iran and a mothership or whatever. Well, that's not true, but we're gonna go through this in chronological order of how I seen like my experience so far with this drone stuff. I live out in the middle. I live in the I live in the Southwest, and if you go out away from the city, you could see like so many stars, so much, because there's not a lot of light pollution, and there's so much stuff that you can see. Your eyes can play tricks on you. You can see planes because there's a lot of planes that fly through. Just want to just like bring this up before we get into this. There's like a certain flight path planes take to get to this specific airport of the city that I live in, and you know it's you become accustomed to it just by being out here. The planes just going to be going this way, um, and there's a lot of I forgot the word, just like private um, pilots, people who get just private planes. They like to fly. There's always like stuff that someone's doing up there. Now these drones though, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different because there's a lot of private and government and like folks putting aircraft out there. So you just never know. Now they're doing it at night. It becomes a little iffy. It's like, what's going on? So I just kind of wanted to just bring that down there, or just put that out there before we get into this. But let's go check this out.
Objects in the sky that are the size of an SUV over any city, over any state. It's an invasion of our airspace. In focus now, Republican Congressman Jeff Van Drew of New Jersey, member of the House Judiciary Committee on the Hill right now. How do you address this at this point?
Well, here's the real deal, Harris. I'm also on the Transportation Committee, on the Aviation Subcommittee, and I've gotten to know people. And from very high sources, very qualified sources, very responsible sources, I'm going to tell you the real deal. Iran launched a mothership probably about a month ago that contains these drones. That mothership is off. I'm going to tell you the deal. It's off the east coast of the United States of America.
Okay.
They've launched drones. Is everything that we can see or hear. And again, these are from high sources. I don't say this lightly. Now, we know there was a probability it could have been our own government. We know it's not our own government because they would have let us know. It could have been some really glorified hobbyist or hobbyists that were doing something unbelievable. They don't have the technology. But let's pretend that's possible. The third possibility was somebody, an adversarial country, doing this. Know that Iran made a deal with China to purchase drones, motherships, and technology in order to go forward.
Which I will say, what is that country buying? Like, I don't really care, but it would be nice to know if these people actually are buying this technology. Not to say that these drones are their technology, but it would be very interesting to know if these people are investing into that R&D to get better ships, to get better drones, and then to be able to put those together, and then it would just be interesting to know if they have that capability. I mean, who are we to like? I don't know. I just wanted to kind of throw that out there. But I'm not saying this is what's going on. But really, can these people actually invest and say, hey, other country, I'll pay you this. Will you give us this? You know what I mean? That's all I'll say about that. Let's continue.
The sources I have are good. They can't reveal who they are because they are speaking to me in confidentiality.
Of course,
these drones should be shot down. Whether it was some crazy hobbyist that we can't imagine, or whether it is.
I don't want anybody doing that. Yeah, don't do that. Please don't be doing that, because that is illegal to be putting live rounds into the air, because you know they come back down. Somebody could get hurt or something could get damaged, but someone could get hurt. You don't want that to happen. Please don't do that. And then I don't want these things getting shot out of the sky by some Joe Schmo, and then it has whatever on it, and it hurts people. Like, we don't need that. Or lands on somebody, we don't need that.
Iran, and I think it very possibly could be. They should be shot down. We are not getting the full deal, and the military is on alert with this.
This guy's going hard.
You've given us.
Who are these insiders like really telling him about this? This guy's a congressman, right? It just leaves you questioning, what kind of information is this dude giving or getting? And like, man, he needs to be looking at his sources, right?
Pretty dire information just here, and I want to make sure that our viewers are digesting this. Iran has the capability to pull up along our eastern seaboard and launch drones the size of an SUV into the skies of several states, particularly New Jersey, where we know the incoming president has a large home. Also in the same county or nearby where some of these drones in New Jersey have been seen. That capability exists. It's possible some of those drones are here. So I have two questions. How are they fueling them? They have to land somewhere. Drones don't fly forever. Why don't they close down the airspace? Yes, it's inconvenient. Yes, it's the holidays. Shut it down. But if you start shooting things and you don't know how they're fueled, that's going to be mass explosions. This isn't like one spy balloon. Explosions. Congressman, this is serious.
Shout out to Laura Faulkner. I'm going to leave the link for this in the description below. Oh, man, it's crazy. It is crazy. Oh man, I'm not gonna lie, when that dropped, it was kind of convincing, but just like a little bit convincing, I will admit. But I'm glad that there's a lot more sensible, incredible people out there to kind of put the audience to put the American people at ease a little bit, because obviously our own government wasn't doing any of that, which I actually forgot to get that. There's a whole clip I was supposed to get. I was supposed to get a clip of what's that guy? Secretary Mayorkas, the guy of Homeland Security, the director of Homeland Security or whatever. I'm supposed to get him going on, but you know what? I'll have that. I'll have that for the video that we're gonna do tomorrow about George Stephanopoulos. I wish I could put that on here, but I don't mean to get off. Of course. Long story short, Secretary Mayorkas was kind of just like, this is nothing. It's like, what you guys are seeing, it's nothing. Don't worry about it. But it seems like everybody, the American people, there's like congressmen, there's House reps, there's governors, there's mayors, all kinds of folks are like, what's going on here? Shout out to Mario Nafal. He's got this video here. As it goes, excuse me, this isn't Mario Nafal. This is Colin Rugg. Excuse me. Shout out to Colin Rugg. He has this video. It goes, News Nation reporter says his entire view of the New Jersey drones has changed after he witnessed 50 of them flying from the ocean. So here is a video of him going over it. Let's go check it out.
Hi, Elizabeth. Well, I got to be honest here. You know, when this story first came out a few weeks ago, as a resident of New Jersey, as a journalist, I didn't pay it much credence. I thought it would turn out to be a bunch of pranksters and this would all be over by now. The experience I had last night, however, changed the way I feel about this story completely. What I saw was more sophisticated than I ever imagined. Take a look.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5 lights, 6 lights.
I didn't believe what I was seeing. But what was I seeing? We're here in central Jersey.
You can hear it, the buzzing, bzz, like that's not like a plane. That is definitely a drone right there for sure. You can hear the bzz. That for sure is a drone. A lot of this stuff I'm just seeing for the first time. I really didn't want to watch anything because I wanted to do this for my show, for the show here, to share it with you folks. This has been going on for like the past week. It's just nonstop people posting videos. I have done my best not to see like too many of them. I've probably seen like 1 or 2 just to get like an observation of like, yeah, okay, there is an issue with this drone stuff, but really we're about to get a little into this. I'm just seeing this stuff for the first time.
I've been looking for the past hour. I think we've seen about 40 or 50 of these drones. In fact, there's one over my shoulder right there.
What?
One after another, these drones appeared in the night sky. If you look real close, they look like fixed-wing aircraft, about 8 to 10 feet wide, colorful, white blinking lights.
That is not a plane.
Definitely not an airplane, but what was it? Hours earlier, I was invited to join the Ocean County Sheriff Department. They launched their own drones to see if they could intercept the mysterious aircraft New Jersey residents have been reporting in recent weeks. The department says these mystery drones evade detection because they don't give off heat like regular drones.
Why do you think that is?
We don't know. It's just something that we haven't, it's not something that we've had our hands on. It's not something that we've experienced.
Something they hadn't experienced until now. One of their officers called 911 after seeing 50 of them come off the ocean.
Shout out to News Nation. They said 50 of them. That's crazy. Hey, yo.
Advise after we make contact.
These are law enforcement people. This isn't just no ordinary Joe Schmo. Hey, what do you think is going on? Hey, yeah, it's just it's like, yo, these are professional people. They like help people to like, they do this. Like that's my buddy Much would say. They do this. They be helping people. So I think some of these folks are, what they're saying has got to be credible. Like they're seeing something, right? They're definitely seeing these drones. It's just, who are they from? Who's piloting them? You know what I mean? Why are they there? What are they looking for?
Contact with that officer that there were 50 that came off the ocean.
50?
50. That was my reaction also.
50.
There were 50 that were coming off the ocean.
And this is a sworn officer.
A sworn officer, yes. We contacted state police. We contacted the FBI. We contacted the Coast Guard, at which point the Coast Guard went out with their boat, and they reported seeing 13 following their boat. And then the Coast Guard
15.
also advised that they...
These are following military boats. This is a sheriff saying this. I mean, saying that there's drones following a military boat. Like, is the military boat, were they rolling? Was the drone? See, like the context is much needed. Was the drones rolling with the boat, or was the drones following the boat, as in you're following it, as they're well aware that this boat is here, the boat is well aware that the drones are there, and they're all in cooperation to go move in a certain direction? Or is it the boat's here and then the drone is just like, I wouldn't say miles away, but it's like, it's pretty close, but it's staying like so far, like at a distance where it's surveilling the boat. Like there is so the context is needed for
They
this.
went over them about 300 feet and had a wingspan of about 8 feet.
I see one right here.
Did I see the same thing that officer saw? I'm still not sure. What I can show you is this video. What I can tell you is I've never seen anything like it before.
Wow.
And
It's crazy. It's crazy. I'm gonna leave the link for this. Shout out to Colin Rugg. Yeah, this drone stuff's getting a little crazy, right? So we have here. If you're enjoying any of this content, please consider hitting the like, share, and the subscribe button. Would deeply appreciate it. So I have a post by Dusty here on Twitter, now known as X. Shout out to Elon Musk. Watch. Go. Says John Ferguson, president / chairman of the board at Saxon Aerospace LLC, gives his take on the U.S. drone situation unfolding. In the video clip one, John goes over a conversation that he had who attempted to raise alarm with our government. John then brings up a prior drone spotting just a few years ago with a similar incident, CBS News in Colorado. John then goes into a bit of why the drones would be flying at night. In the second video, John covers how these U.S. drones possibly haven't risen a lot of suspicion or concern with our government, officials, because they generally comply with FAA regulations, which I was going to say too. Through all the stuff that you're seeing with those lights, if you look at a regular commercial airliner, or like regular aircraft, I don't know the percentage, but I think a good majority of those aircraft that you're seeing up there, they have a green and red light, and a green, it's usually like, I don't know how they switch it up. I think it's like the green, like we could look it up, but just for you folks, to do your own due diligence. If you look this up, or if you go outside and look at an actual real plane flying over, they have green and red lights. Those green and red lights are within the FAA regulations. The FAA regulated these folks to say, hey, you need those to let other aircraft know that you're in the area so you don't fly into each other. That's why they have lights on like buildings and towers and stuff like that. So and like the certain like power lines or whatever, so people know that are like flying these aircraft, drones or unmanned or whatever, that they don't fly into this stuff. And you're seeing with these videos that these people have the green and red lights. That means that's not an enemy. An enemy wouldn't abide by FAA regulations, right? Like they wouldn't care about that. They would just turn all that stuff off, and they would roll up and then, do what they need to do. It's very interesting. John Ferguson then goes over how these drones are able to possibly go to a distance based off of how their communications are set up, which is very interesting. I think, based off of what he was saying, is like the drones get together with a bunch of other drones together, and they form a network that they can survive off of without being on their main network. They can set up their own network, and as long as they're within a certain distance, they can maneuver and do all. It's fascinating stuff, man. It's fascinating stuff. I can't believe that like drone technology has gotten to where it is now, because I can, because the ingenuity of these engineers out here, out of mankind, is just astounding. But I digress. We go back into this. John Ferguson, I kind of just wanted to go over the lights thing. John Ferguson then goes over how way these drones are able to or it's supposed to be how the way these drones are able to possibly go to a distance based off of how their communications are set up. Finally, in this very last clip, John shows the thermal imaging from one of his drones and also shows the view of what drones are seeing. At the end of the video, John covers a few exclusive points on the drones. While the drones are flying at night, the use of thermal imaging and how it's used, and excuse me, I have to pause and break like normal, like, like you're supposed to. And lastly, the communication of the drones, how they are wired or designed to go whatever distance. So we're not going to watch the whole thing. We're going to watch a little bit of the first part, and then we'll watch like tiny segments from these second and third parts, hopefully. But yeah, shout out to John Ferguson. I'll leave the link for this, and shout out to Dusty. See what they have to say.
My name is John Ferguson. I'm the CEO of Saxon Aerospace here in Wichita, Kansas. I'm not normally a TikTok kind of a guy. I like watching this stuff every once in a while. But I'm a manufacturer of unmanned aircraft, military grade unmanned aircraft, as you can see one of my systems here. There's all of these mysterious drones going on off the East Coast, and as a professional, as a subject matter expert, I wanted to give you all my opinion on what I think could be going on with these drones. I don't particularly believe that these have a nefarious intent. I could be wrong, but I want to give you the truth and what I believe. It's my own opinion, and I've not bounced this off of anybody. So, if you think it's bullshit, whatever, that's cool. I don't want to spread misinformation, as we know that there's a lot of that going around. But anyway, back in the 1980s, Ronald Reagan had dismantled the nuclear program, and there were, with Russia, there were countless nuclear missiles that were disarmed and disposed of. Well, there were over 80, I believe. There were over 80 nuclear warheads that were in Ukraine that came up missing. Okay? We don't know where they are. Maybe somebody does, but nobody really knows where these are. And I speak with some pretty high-level government officials on this stuff, and it seems as though that is the case. So I spoke to a gentleman a few months ago who was trying to raise an alarm to the highest levels of our government, which they had their ears closed, about this one particular nuclear warhead that he physically put his hands on. He physically touched this warhead that was left over from Ukraine. And he knew that thing was headed towards the United States. Okay? That is a very serious deal. And everyone knows that the United States government, this administration, is pushing to get into a war with Russia. We all know that. We all feel it. We all see it. Okay? Well, back up a few years. Do y'all remember when those drones were mysteriously flying across the Interstate 70 corridor from Colorado up into Nebraska, down here into Kansas, and out into Missouri? Well, it was believed that those drones were looking for radioactive material because there had been some material that came up missing here in the United States, and they felt like it was high probability that the nuclear or the radioactive material would be taken along the Interstate 70 corridor heading east or west or south. So from what we understand, they were out there trying to find this radioactive material. Now, drones, they have no reason to be in the air at night unless you're doing some type of ISR work, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, looking for bad guys, or looking for a victim, a search and rescue victim, or law enforcement, or some type of military project, right? There's no reason for a drone to be flying at night, really. okay? Because they don't see shit. So, unless you have thermal optics, drones really don't see stuff. You need to do mapping during the day. If you're going to do farming stuff, you mostly do it during the day. The only reason why you would ever fly an unmanned aircraft at night, is if you're looking for something, whether it be a person or trying to smell gas. We have methane gas detection systems that can detect gas leaks in pipelines. You really wouldn't use thermal optics for trying to find gas leaks, just simply because the only way you're actually going to find a gas leak with thermal optics is if the gas leak is aggressive enough that it has a difference in temperature. Because thermal imaging, it creates a digital image based off of the temperature variance. So whatever is different in temperature, it creates an image. Usually gas leaks so slow that it goes quickly into ambient, before you can even see it. So we have special sensors that can detect gas leaks. We also have special sensors that can detect radioactive material. So with this gentleman that I had spoken with, who was trying to raise the alarm to try to get somebody in the government to say, hey, we need to work together to go try to find this nuclear warhead, none of that ever happened. They knew that warhead was on its way to the United States. That's all that ever came of it. Nothing ever happened. This government did not do anything at all to help this gentleman raise the alarm and raise awareness that there is a very deadly weapon on its way to the United States. It's out there. Nobody knows where it's at now. It left Europe. Now it's gone. So my own guess, is that these drones are not nefarious in intent. If they are, they are, but I doubt it. But if they are drones, the only reason why they would be flying that
looking
low
for something, huh?
is because they're trying to smell something on the ground.
Interesting.
That's it. There's no other reason for a drone to be flying in the air other than to piss a bunch of people off at night. That's it. So, my belief is they're trying to smell something on the ground. Gas leaks, radioactive material, whatever. Picking up on...
I'm going to rain check on these two here. Shout out to John Ferguson. What he had just said something I was going to comment on. Them operating at nights. I mean, there was something that he just said it.
That there is.
Oh yeah. I don't really believe. I mean, I don't know. It's just I don't know. We don't have we don't have too much information, but I think this is kind of the right direction that folks do need to be realistically going into, like that mindset. Whether it's a for real operation or if it's like maybe they're training or whatever, but realistically, that sounds legit though. But I'm not saying that is what's going on. But I do want to say what he did bring up, I find fascinating, is that during the what did he say? Like the 80s was the dismantling of the Ukrainian nuclear like program or something like that, where they just disarmed and gave away their nukes, or the United States took it. Like there's a whole thing. Like I might have to do a video on that just because of this situation, because like that leads down a whole other rabbit hole. But that whole point is what he brought up is that if Ukraine was disarmed of these nukes, where did they go? And it sounds like a lot of them didn't go to where they needed to go. I mean, I'm not a conspiracy. I'm not trying to make up one, but like if you if you really put it all together, I mean, were they really disarmed? Who took them? When did they take them? And did they actually receive them? And if they didn't receive them, who has them? I mean, it's like these are all real questions here. Like real questions I have about this. Me personally, I don't really. I mean, it seems like everything that he's saying seems legit, but I don't know if that's what's going on right now with this. But I mean, that whole dismantling of the Ukrainian nuclear program. That leads me to believe, because there's a lot of shady people out there, like, and then the nuclear, like, armed race and everything like that, like, that happened so long ago. Like, these folks will do anything, man. This is just me rattling this stuff out. These folks will do anything to get their hands on it. And then if someone's over there saying, hey, you can't have it, I mean, the whole point of that is, did all of those make it to where they needed to go? And if they didn't, somebody has one of them, right? It would be kind of plausible, I guess, that like somebody would maybe sneak that in to the, like, that's what I'm thinking, right? So, but that's not the case. That is not even the thing now. The thing I'm really hearing about is this what I'll have to get to that. We'll have to get to that real quick. I'm going to just bring us back down to planet Earth here, because we're going to, back to logic. I have a video here. Fox 29 Philadelphia, Representative Chris Smith. He holds a press conference in Seaside Heights to provide updates on the public on the unidentified drone activity in New Jersey. It's your boy kicking it with Timmy B. I'm going to leave all the links for all these videos and articles that we just went over in this broadcast today in the description below. If you want to help support your boy, hit me up on all platforms at Kicking It with Timmy B, and let's get right into it.
As many of you know, state and local law enforcement is precluded by law from taking more decisive action, which is why DOD must. They are the ones who have the ability and the authority to act. Congress, yes, and the president, yes, need to move quickly to expand state and local authorities, powers. But DOD has it right now. Sheriff Golden wrote me a few days ago requesting legislation to empower the state police to seriously protect at-risk persons and infrastructure, and if necessary, bring down a dangerous drone or drones. I am now drafting that bill and will soon introduce it. I want to thank him for that idea. I'd like to now yield the floor to Sheriff Mastronardi and then to Sean Goldman. Sheriff.
Thank you, Congressman. I just want to clarify a couple of things that have happened. We have a very robust drone program in Ocean County. We've had it for 8 years or more. We're very fortunate. It's headed by Sergeant Fennessy. When we started to get these reports at the 911 center from local PDs, we went out and we decided to do a drone patrol, more or less. And we took our tethered drone, which you see over here, that the officers are demonstrating, and we put it up in the air on Saturday night a week ago. At that time, Sergeant Fennessy, who's an experienced drone operator and pilot, and Officer D'Amico spotted one of the items that brought us concern. They videotaped it as far as they were. They got some tape on it. They described it as going around their drone and traveling off at a high rate of speed. They reported to us that it was, they felt it was 60 miles an hour or more. And to put it in perspective, our drones only go about 40 miles an hour. So that's number one. Sunday night, we were out again. This time was Sergeant Fennessy once again. And at that point, we got notified by our 911 center that there was concern of a sighting in Island Beach State Park. We responded. We met an officer, a certified New Jersey law officer, not from our department, from another agency. And that officer did an excellent job. She documented. That's where you're getting the reports of 50 drones coming off the ocean. That's what she reported seeing. She was on duty at the time, and she reports that she saw 50 drones
coming from the ocean to the mainland, transversing the airways over Island Beach State Park, going down towards Barnegat Light and coming to the seaside area. As a result of that, we continue to operate. We've obviously notified all of our partners, FBI, State Police, Coast Guard. Coast Guard cutter put out a boat at a Barnegat Light. They reported to us what the Congressman referred to the comments. I have not spoken to the people on that boat directly. So what are we doing? We're taking proactive, working with Sheriff Golden, our partner, also Sheriff Nolan, May County, and Sheriff Donahue from Atlantic County. We're taking some, trying to document what's happening, if there's anything happening off the coast of New Jersey. But, you know, obviously there's a lot of attention to this matter throughout. Social media is a little bit different than it used to be than when I first came on the job, so that's something you have to control too, because people are putting everything out there. We were looking at the time that the Sergeant Fennessy reported seeing the drone. We have flight radar mapping capabilities, and we did not see anything on indicating it was a plane. We get numerous reports of planes. On the other side of the coin, we get people reporting drones when we look right at the radar and say, no, that's a plane going over your house. And then they want to argue with you and say, no, no, no. So just so you know, the flight path to JFK out here, what we see is that they're traveling about 18 to 20,000 feet in the air. And coming out of Newark, going south in the western part of the county, they're about the same, 18 to 20 going south. The ones coming from the islands that are going to land at Newark come over our county at about 6,000 feet. These drones are less than 1,000. So obviously they want us to know they're there. They put on their lights. So who it is, I wish I could tell you. We don't know. We keep telling, everybody says, well, it's the government. I don't know, but I think the government has a responsibility, in my opinion, that if it is them, just tell us and we'll be happy about it. But if it isn't, we got to get some answers. So we continue. We see a lot of activity out here. We see other agencies now paying attention to New Jersey, thanks to Congressman, his support. So hopefully we'll continue to get some answers in a short period of time. In the meantime, I can assure the resident of Ocean County, working with my partners in Monmouth, Ocean, and Atlantic County, that we'll do all we can to document and see what we have out there and address. We have teams that go out from our CSI unit when we get reports to try to document. We had an officer out with some special camera lenses that we're looking at, that they're up there and trying to convince the homeowners that, yeah, that's a planet, you're okay. So some of it's difficult on the other side. So we want to make sure we're just fair, reasonable, and let's deal with just the facts. Thank you very much. Sheriff Golden?
Yeah.
All right, folks, I just wanted to get a little bit of that information out there. We'll watch a little bit more, but I'm going to leave the link for this. If you watch this further through, in my personal opinion, you could tell that these people really care about New Jersey, about what's going on here. There's a lot of folks coming together here, probably like you wouldn't normally see, but it seems like there's a lot of folks really confused about why there are a bunch of drones over here like flying around and no answers. It's fascinating stuff.
Thank you, Sheriff Mastronardi, and I want to thank Congressman Smith for your tireless effort. When your constituents have a problem in Monmouth and Ocean County, Congressman Smith is always there.
And it seems like everyone congratulates Congressman Smith. Obviously, he's the one that put this together, but he's the one out here trying to communicate with the federal law enforcement. He's trying to communicate with the White House and everything like that. And he's trying to communicate with the city council and the folks in New Jersey and the governor and all this other stuff to make sure that these folks get what they need. Very interesting.
And we have a problem, right? We have a number of reports that had occurred over a month ago in North Jersey, has worked its way down to Monmouth and Ocean County, continues night after night to be a problem and an issue for our residents. And as the congressman said, our own military personnel from 2 different locations, Picatinny Arsenal and Naval Weapons Station Earl, as well as numerous first responders and public safety people, have identified these objects in the air. So for Washington to just shun off those type of issues and say it's all planes, right, is not good enough. And I know Congressman Smith has taken it to it. I want to thank, though, Colonel Callahan of the New Jersey State Police and our Office of Homeland Security Preparedness here in New Jersey, because they're doing all they can with the limited amount of technology and limited resources to monitor the situation, to provide real-time dashboards and data to all of the counties involved. And I think they're doing a fantastic job in doing so. But again, they're limited. Part of our conversations with Congressman Smith early on, as he knows, was we need to have our legislation keep pace with the laws and the operation of drones. It has not, right? We know that the FAA and the federal government is solely in charge of the.
I am worried about what they're going to be doing in response of this whole drone situation. What the laws they are going to implement to be able to restrict drone or you know the use of drones even more, right? Like, because they obviously can't. They have a system where if you go to certain places, it like already marks it on the map where you can't go there and everything like that, and the drone just knows you can't go there. So them making these laws and stuff like, or this situation seems like there's going to be a result of some laws being put into place for these people to make money and for them to restrict the freedoms of just normal folks using these drones. You know what I mean? or using drones, not those drones, but using or using just normal, drones. Very interesting.
The airways and the drone operations as we see it today. We're calling upon Congress, and Congressman Smith is leading the way, to modify legislation so that not just 3 federal agencies are able to have drone detection and de-drone equipment, right? To be able to put that hands in the state policing units around the country. This is a national public safety and security issue, right? If they aren't foreign drones, then it is a state public safety issue. In order for the state to react, state policing units from around the country will need new technology to detect drones, recreational or commercial. They will need laws that assist them in being able to de-drone, right? That means if we have large-scale gatherings that don't involve our federal partners, we must be able to monitor any of those drone actions above those gatherings and take action, right? And the only way to do that is to change the federal laws that we see today to keep up with the technology and to make sure that those laws keep up with the pace of growth and deployments. We have drone delivery systems going commercially. We see Amazon and Walmart, all of our corporations, right, expanding for drone technology. But what we don't see are the laws and rules and regulations to keep up with that. That's why in my letter transmitted to Congressman Smith, it had several points. One of those points in there, commercial or retail regulation, all have to show up on some type of map so that our first responders know that they're there. It can't be voluntary. It can't be an app that a private organization in Airware has made up. It's very useful, it's good, but it's not coming off the FAA radar. So the FAA has to step up. They have to integrate that technology for drone detection into the FAA maps that we see today. Not only that, we have to continue and press upon the fact that our federal government right now, because of those laws, as Congressman knows, is the only way that we're going to get resolved to these issues today. They're the only ones that have the technology, they're the only ones that have the law, and they're the only ones that can come in here and identify the sources. Because again, at the state level, county and local, we don't have that tech, we don't have the authority to even take one of these down, right? And until that change happens in Congress, we rely on the federal government.